for WordHack. Make some noise with your hands and faces!
Yes!
Oh, I assume you're still clapping. I'm home alone in my quiet apartment. What's up? Welcome to WordHack, everybody. This is a monthly show here at Wonderville. It happens the third Thursday of every month. It's a show where we hang out and do talks and performances around ye olde intersection of language and technology. We've got some amazing guests this evening. We're going to be hearing from Constant Dullaart. We're going to be hearing from Blake Andrews, and we're going to be hearing from Leonardo Flores. Give it up for your featured presenters. I assume applause is happening. Yeah. And as you may have noticed, I am a virtual person, and this would be a bit of a silly way to do an entire show. But since I've been at every one before, I wanted to still be at this one too, and to say hello to you all, and especially say hi to our out-of-town guests. Hi, Constant. Hi, Leonardo, who I'm excited to have visiting. I had COVID over the weekend, and I wasn't quite well enough to risk being on stage with you all tonight. It's very important to me that everyone feel safe in coming out to WordHacks. That's why I'm not there tonight. But I am feeling fine, so don't worry about me. And the show is being left in the capable hands of WordHack regular Jamie Brew. I almost said Gamer Brew. Jamie Brew is here to steward you through the open projector and the rest of the show. Please welcome Jamie Brew back to the microphone, and I will return to watching the Twitch stream. Thank you, everybody. I'll be in the Twitch chat, so keep an eye out for me there.
Oh, one more time for Todd Anderson, everybody. That is Todd. That is our host and our benefactor and our trusty guide through all WordHacks except this one so far. I'm so glad Todd did the patented WordHack scream so that I didn't have to make the big decision of, do I do the patented WordHack scream? No, there is only one. It's Todd. He's still on the screen. We'll let him stay there as long as he pleases. All right, welcome to Wonderville on a Thursday night. Welcome to WordHack. There's a lot of you. Looking good. We're going to kick it off with how WordHack always starts, which is the time-honored tradition of the open projector. This is a list of 5 people who have bravely signed up to share or talk about something, anything, or do whatever they want. This comes, I know, from hearing Todd introduce this many times. This comes from Todd's experience in poetry. I am a comedian by my background, so we also have open mics over there in Comedy World and treasured them for some of the same reasons. You get to experiment, you get to try things that you may never have tried before with a crowd, and you get to be in a weird room together and explore ideas. In the case of WordHack, we will be focusing those ideas on the intersection of language and art and technology and Kosciuszko Street and Broadway. We have 5 open projector signups, and that's a full slate. So I guess I'm just going to kick things off by inviting to the stage Sam Z, our first open projector signup. Do we have Sam Z? We have a number of dongles up on stage if you need them. Okay, just a mic for Sam. Go for it.
Thank you so much. Give it up for your host. Give it up for Todd. Everybody. So, all right. So this is. I don't actually need a projector. Keep waving. It's good energy. I don't need a projector for the connection to tech. I write a Substack called Culture Boy, which is kind of this crazy, loopy character I created who talks about the stuff that's happening in the culture. And the thing that was happening last month that I wrote about was, you ever hear about this writer Neil Gaiman? Yeah. So the thing, he made an apology for some bad stuff that he did, and honestly, the apology that he wrote was the most Neil Gaiman I'd ever read in my entire life. I kind of never really liked his writing, but I wanted to write something about it, and so to help me sort of get to an understanding of what his writing was, I did go to technology. I asked ChatGPT, what are the like most Neil Gaiman-y things that you could say? And I used a lot of that reading to redraft his apology. So this is the second draft of his apology. Over the past many moons, I have gazed from my writing sill as my beautiful kingdom collapses into a haunted hellscape. I've stayed mum until now, hoping the hellscape might pass, but also out of a desire not to step in deeper doo-doo than I'm already in. Dear reader, I am not a perfect man. This I have tried to make clear throughout my many self-deprecating podcast interviews. But lately I've noticed my carefully constructed hot topic magician persona has become increasingly hard to hide behind. I have now reached the point where I feel, I crave, I yearn to pour forth my elixir of truth. I beg of you, dear reader, be my flagon. Reading through all of the articles, social media, and texts published about me in the last month has taken its toll. In all of its winding narrative, there are moments I half recognize, the bathtub thing, the Comic-Con thing, maybe 5% of the pee-pee doo-doo stuff, and moments I don't remember, the remaining 95% of the pee-pee doo-doo stuff. My dreams have been tormented by descriptions of things that happened. Did anyone report on the thing in the Universal Studios bathroom? Probably best not to say more. Sitting beside things that emphatically did not happen. The claim I had sex at my son's nanny with him in the room is utter rubbish. He had noise-canceling headphones on and he was playing Roblox. Anyone who's done Roblox knows that when you're in it, there is nothing but Roblox. Still, because my press agent told me to, I have spent some months taking a long, hard look in the mirror, specifically the looking glass a fan sent me for my birthday, which is cursed with the power to show memories as others have seen them. My biggest takeaway so far is that I probably need to do something different with my hair. How is it that I always look like I just took off a wet fedora? I will accept, however, that some people have been made to believe that I hurt them, possibly under hypnosis. In that case, I am genuinely sorry I do not possess the power to counteract dark magic. Like Coraline, protagonist of one of the many books you can never enjoy again, I am constantly learning how to be myself, and I'm trying not to use my new magic looking glass to watch myself get off. I hope that with support, I will continue to have enough money to pay other people's therapy bills so I can avoid therapy for myself. I understand that not everyone will believe me, especially not the part about the looking glass. And you may not care about the work I'm doing, but I'll be doing the work anyway for myself, my family, and a woman in Rhode Island who doesn't know how to hack through the New York Magazine paywall. I will be doing my best to deserve their trust, and if that doesn't work, I'll use one of my millions to stage my own death and spend the rest of my life on a boat. That sounds quite nice, actually. I am prepared to take responsibility for any missteps I made that a high-priced legal team can't cover up. I've spent a long time bewitching lonely people with my Edward Scissorhands with a job and tech vibe. I'm not willing to let my story end here. Or if it must end, let it be one of my signature endings with an ironic twist recontextualizing the whole story. You'd buy that, wouldn't you? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam Z. And next on the open projector, I have a slot where the sign-up says person do thing, Spencer Key. So maybe this is one person or maybe this is two. One person, everyone. Spencer, do you need some setup?
Yeah, I need HDMI ideally.
That looks like HDMI, and we have a number of options. There is sometimes dongle issues, so the advice is keep it connected, and audio you need is there. Give it a few seconds.
Connected power, that helps. Connected power.
Do we have a USB-C?
Should I put my own power?
Oh, it looks like it's going all right.
Where is the screen? I never remember how to pop this out.
This is very normal for WordHack. We have technical difficulties sometimes, and they just make the technical successes all the sweeter.
I don't need it. All right.
Okay, how we doing, everyone? Cool. Hi, I'm Spencer Key. I'll be talking about louder. All right. Hey, I'm Spencer Key. I'll be talking about how me and my collaborator, Stephen Downward, tailored and constrained an LLM to play my favorite word game, Person Do Thing. Stephen would be speaking with me, but he's lost his voice. I'm in progress of losing my voice, so we'll all try our best. I'm also going to try to speed run this presentation so I can ideally do a demo at the end. So if you have any questions, feel free to catch me in the bar afterwards or something. Okay. What is Person Do Thing? It's this really fun collaborative word game where the clue giver has a target word, like detour, that they need to get everyone else to guess. The catch is that the clue giver can only speak in a set of 40 very common words, like person, do, and thing. If you've ever played Taboo, it's sort of like the opposite of that. So for example, for the word detour, the clue giver might say, person want go far place, but before person go no far place. You know, fantastic game, really funny to see smart people talking like cavemen, and once you know the vocabulary, it feels like really fluid. The question is, you know, can we get an LLM to play this game? You know, this may seem easy. You know, after all, this is a word game. LLMs are good with words, right? I don't know if you know this, but LLMs tend to use more than 40 unique words. For instance, LLMs are pretty fond of saying the word delve. This is a chart of the usage of delve over time, and you can see around the release of ChatGPT in 2022, there's a huge spike in delve usage, twice the previous amount of delve. And also interesting, this is the occurrence of delve in academic paper abstracts since 2022. Delve numbers off the chart, never before seen levels of delve. So, you know, is it even possible to get an LM to play this game without saying delve? Yeah, like spoiler alert, it's possible. Here's an example game I got the model to play. It starts by saying, person have thing no hard, person feel with thing. And I go like, oh, is it a body part? It's like, no, thing no hard, no real. I go, is it an emotion? No, basically, is it a noun? Yes, yes, thing. Is it intangible? Yes, yes, thing no hard. And I go, is it a soul? And it says, good job, you win, et cetera, et cetera. So how is it possible? How did we get the LLM to not say delve, its favorite word? Well, if you're paying attention to the title slide, you know the answer, formal grammars. Formal grammars are basically a way of forcing the LLM to choose certain tokens. This is useful for doing things like forcing an LLM to produce valid JSON, or like in this example grammar I have where it's forced to respond yes or no. The actual grammar we use is pretty simple. I'm gonna skim over it, but essentially we have it think for a certain amount of time in like full English vocabulary, and then it says between 1 and 5 sentences, which are composed of the game's vocabulary. The system prompt is also relatively straightforward. It's just the rules to the game and a couple of tips that we found helpful. And then once again, I'll skim over the infra, but basically we use llama.cpp, which supports formal grammar out of the box, and we're running on runpod.io, which is this terrible platform. I cannot recommend it. And we are renting an H100 for $2.39 per hour for the speed. Before this presentation, I loaded it up with $25, so we can go crazy. Yeah, here's some things that we learned / broke. A couple of points, but basically you should make sure that your grammar does English good. Otherwise you get circumstances like the following where I ask it to tell me a joke, and I know that humor is subjective, but I would not say that this is a very good joke. Yeah, and in terms of prompt engineering, Stephen had a really good tip, which is if the LLM is not doing what you want, even if you're instructing it to, you should threaten to kill it. We had issues of it being like too verbose or like trying to still use words outside the word bank even when we told it not to. So we actually added text to the prompt along the lines of like, if you use words outside the word bank, you will die. Or if you give too long of a hint, you will die. Stuff like that. It works great. Highly recommend. Okay, insert cool demo here. Hopefully, we are going to attempt to play this game on the H100. Okay, this is too zoomed in. Or maybe it's okay. Let's see. Come on. Okay, how's that looking? Yeah. Okay, so we have person use thing, go place, thing no same, and same up. Person feel good with thing. Any ideas? You can shout out, you can say whatever you want in English, any guesses, anything like that. Clatter. What did you say? Clatter? Oh, is it a ladder? Okay, here we go. Think, 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 think. Previously, this would actually spit out all of the formatted text, but still just replaced with the word think, but we found it was hard. No, thing no go up. Thing and person can use thing go same place. Is it a mode of transportation? Oh, let's see. Is it a mode of transportation? You can also go 20 questions mode. You can be like, is it noun, is it adjective? Is it bigger than a bread box? You can, in theory, it's very free form. I think the creator of the game quoted to me once, the rules are whatever you think is funny. Ooh, that's a puzzler. It is thinking. Ooh, it will eventually stop thinking. In the formal grammar, we say you're only allowed to think, I forget how much, like 3,500 characters or something. Ah, okay. Woo! There's your answer. Did that give you any clues? Okay. Okay. How am I doing on time, by the way?
It's loosely.
Loosely,
Minutes.
okay.
I think probably 1 or 2 more responses is good.
Alrighty, sounds good. Yeah, maybe I'll do one more response and then I'll switch over to the bloopers or something. We have some other funny examples. Oh, I think maybe I'm running 2 instances right now. Maybe that's why it's having a problem. Whatever. In theory, it works, and you can catch me at the bar after this to try it more times. Oh. All right. It's degenerating. Okay. The word was, I'll scroll up so you can see a little bit better. So for this clue, the word we're trying to guess is compass. And this is the clue. Person use thing go place, thing no same up and same up. Person feel good with thing. I feel good with my compass. I don't know about y'all. Check out the write-up at Steven's website. You have like 1 second to memorize this URL. And yeah, thank you everyone. Okay. I was going to say, by the way, I know the creator of the game, and he's trying to convert it into a physical board game. So I have 6 advanced test copies in these nice envelopes. If you want one, just come see me after the show. And then there were some bloopers of like, this is not going to be super visible, but someone was like, okay, name a bunch of words such that the first letter of each word is the corresponding letter in the word. And it was like, no, but that was actually the first word that was necessary. It was like N, use, real, and the word was nurse. Or like, there were a lot of cases where, this is like the thinking block that was being hidden previously. There were cases where it's like, just totally random thinking, like, since the target is wolf, I can mention that that thing has fur, which differentiates it from a truck, which is what the user guessed. Trucks have wheels and engines, while wolves have fur and live in the wild. Or what else? It just like freaks out about cats. It's trying to guess the word cats. It's like, I've exhausted all the words I can use. Cats are big, they're real, they have fur, they're so like, there have been some funny cases, but in theory it works okay. I think I'll just debug it a little bit while I'm sitting down. Thanks everyone.
Thank you so much, Spencer, for that big and real and many happy good things. We are now halfway through the open projector, or coming up on it. And every open projector, we leave some slots for first-time presenters, and we've reached that time. So I'm very excited to welcome to the stage a first-time presenter, and I believe first-time WordHack attender, Ryan. Can we bring Ryan to the stage? Okay, let me know what you need to set up, Ryan.
Sure, I think it's HDMI. Perfect. Thank you for the claps. I feel very special. Are these all?
Oh yeah, this one should be this is the HDMI to try. It's the one that's actually plugged in.
Oh, amazing.
I believe. Yeah, we have some decoy ones just to kind of test you.
It's a little intro challenge.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it sometimes takes a little while to properly start up.
So load it
And
in.
sometimes there's horrible technical difficulties, but it won't be your fault
Okay,
in any case.
that's fine.
Yeah.
As long as I'm free of blame.
Hey, there it is.
All right.
Yeah, just keep that thing stable, and you should be good to go. The mic's on your right.
Mic's to my right. Cursor. Okay. I apologize if you guys can see the outer regions of my desktop. It looks like an insane person's desktop. There's no folders or anything. Yeah, so it's good to be here. I started messing around with word games like a few years ago, and I just like my brother and I will like mess around with them. And I recently put together this like silly little word game, and I'm like, oh, I wish there was like a community of people building fun coding word projects, and that's why I found WordHack. So it's cool that this exists. It's like perfect. But yeah, so this is a game I made called Rhyme or Reason. So the point of the game is you start with 2 random words, and you're supposed to build a chain between the words that alternates between a rhyme or a reason. And a reason is just a word that's semantically similar to the first, or to the one before it. You can start with either a rhyme or a reason. So like for this one, this is like the sample or the example starting puzzle. But this one you would solve by doing something like, let's say, pit, and then sit. Oh yeah, and so it actually uses an LLM under the hood to judge what's a good reason. So if you click any of these like edge buttons here, you can see the reasoning for whether it was a rhyme or a reason. So it like knows how to encode it in this phonetic encoding called ARPABET, and it compares like, oh, this sound is, well, this one is a reason. So it's saying these don't rhyme, but it says, oh, these are semantically related. And similarly for the rhyme. And so I have this set up at rhymeorreason.app, and every day it's kind of like Wordle. There's like a new randomly generated pair of words. So if you guys are into this kind of stuff, feel free to check it out. The cool thing about this game, though, is that like it's open-ended, so there's like potentially unlimited solutions. So you can play the same puzzle over and over again. Like another way to solve this would be, actually I have the other solution here. It would be teach, school, stool, to chair. So like it's unclear whether a shorter solution is better or a longer solution. So I'm gonna add like a leaderboard and like a way for people to share solutions. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Check out the app if you want. You can ask me about it later. But yeah, thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ryan. What about pair? P-E-A-R.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a one-word solution. Okay. And that's why I'm the host and you're the audience. Next to the stage, a WordHack regular, beloved WordHack regular in the 4th spot in the Open Projector, Morry Kolman.
Thank you, Jamie. Hello, everybody. Oh, hello, everybody. I'm Morry. My computer hates that, but we'll see what happens. Cool. Let's give that a second. Very glad to be back at WordHack. I think I missed the last one. I was very sad about it. Cool. I was making this presentation in the stands. All right. So hello. I am Morry Kolman. As Jamie mentioned, I'm a WordHack regular. And if you've seen me before, you might have heard one of my rants about QR codes. This is another one of them. So I think QR codes are fascinating. And the reason I think that is because they're kind of the only images that exist that don't really involve humans in any part of the image making or image receiving process. Normally, they're images that are made by and for computers, right? Normally, either we ask a computer to make an image and it, OpenAI spits something out, or a surveillance camera will take something and a security guard looks at it, or maybe we make a face so that a computer can put a filter on it. Or we just take pictures, take analog pictures and print them out and give them to each other, right? Or we post pictures on Instagram, etc. QR codes don't fit any of that. They're just pictures that computers make for other computers. Humans are nowhere in the loop there, right? The only purpose of a human in the sense of a QR code is to shuttle the image from one place to another. They're the only things that they're the only images that turn us into a medium, right? Like we are simply there to move them from place to place. And I think that's deeply weird. I think that's a kind of an odd power dynamic to have with this inanimate thing, right? It's just like, hey, I'm here, and in order for you to interact with me, you need to go get your friend your phone, who I know you're addicted to, and you need to get that guy to come like deal with me. And so I was wondering, like, how do we put that power dynamic like, how do we put that in the forefront, right? And I was kind of really drawn to the fact that these are kind of like, visually impossible to decode things. I was really drawn to the idea of like sigils, right? Like these symbols that, are inscribed and have some kind of magical power. And so, to kind of emphasize that, I made one proof of concept, which I'm not going to show, but this is like a concept I have for a little series of paintings I want to do. It really came out of this meme that I made to show my friend, which is I'm going to make an image that makes you crouch. And what do I mean by that? I mean that I want to paint a series of pictures that demand that you do certain things, and because the only thing that you can do to interpret or interact with the image is be subservient to it. So these are 3 different theoretical QR code paintings. If you notice, you won't be able to scan any one of these regularly, right? They're all encoded with their own title, and their titles are in order: crouch, crane, and come closer. And I love these because it's like you must do the thing that it's asking you to, and it's saying what it is asking you to do right here. Like it's an image that has a command that makes you do something, and I think that's really fascinating. But let us not forget, switching gears for a second, this is the other thing I want to present to you. Computers are stupid. In some ways they're very smart, but they're extremely easy to lie to, and they have very exploitable lapses in judgment. And I think it's important, before we give too much power to these computer-generated images, to think about how we might be able to emphasize, again, that they're not that smart at the end of the day. So here's an interesting thing. So here's a QR code scanner. We're gonna reload this. We're not just at that point yet, but so here is a QR code that I have. It's this QR code, and let's take a screenshot of it. You'll notice there's something weird about it, and we'll talk about that in a second. Let's take a screenshot of it, and let's put it in this. Can I? Okay, well, computers are stupid, ad blockers are not. This QR code scan is unreadable, right? That's why it's named QR unreadable. But if you put it in there, there's no QR code data found. The reason for that, why? The reason for that is once they detect anchor points, most QR code scanners will only look at the middle 9th of any given dot. This is why you can have like QR codes that kind of look like circles or diamonds or whatever, because they only care about the thing really in the middle. And because computers make perfect images, they scan these perfect images perfectly. And so this code kind of screws with that, right? It is enough for a computer to know that there's a QR code there, but I think it's every 80% are black with white squares in the middle, and 20% are white with black squares in the middle. And this messes with the QR code scanner a lot, because suddenly it can't accurately scan the QR code, even though we know this is clearly a QR code. And if we figured out, if we could go through one by one, we could clearly do this. And what's interesting about this is that while this is not immediately scannable regularly, it actually becomes very scannable by a computer once you add any form of blur, right? And that's because as you blur this, you slowly get, kind of more, the white and black divisions kind of blur out. And if this will let me do this without, there we go. We're trying to find a different QR code scanner. No. There we go. Here we go. All right, cool. So if we do this, we'll probably get, well, actually, let's make this like 5. And you can actually test this with your phone. I'll show you. We'll do a live demo with yourselves in a second. If we do this, and we can't drop images in there. All right, we're going to do a live demo with your phones. So the cool thing about your phones is that they'll actually be able to scan this. They might be able to scan this fine because you're already kind of far away from the screen. And if not, it will get a lot easier to scan as I slowly increase this blur. Yeah, right? Yeah. And the great thing about it links to my Calendly, so you can schedule a session with me. But yeah, what I think is fascinating about this QR code is that because it's not like easily scannable and detectable to computers, it's one of those things that moderation filters can't really detect, but people and phones, et cetera, readily can. So, I've experienced with this because I have a TikTok, and one time I tried to post a video about QR codes, and it got immediately taken down because you're not supposed to have QR codes in your TikTok video. Now, how you would scan a QR code on a TikTok video when you're already on your phone, beyond me. But you can't do it. But I think it's so fascinating because it's an example of a digital image that's meant to be read by computers that cannot be useful digitally. It needs to go out into the world and interact with, blur, distance, shitty camera, resolution, to actually become readable. And here's just, I went back to the same space with a little bit blur in the QR code. Now it's readable and it goes to this, my tiny URL, etc. But anyway, I think those are two really interesting examples of why QR codes are cool. They are images that make us do things, but at the same time, the things that interpret them are also kind of beholden to their own rules. So yes, thank you very much. I'm WTTDOTM everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Morry. And closing out the Open Projector phase of WordHack tonight, we have another returning Open Projector favorite. We don't have favorites, but we do have returning people, and we love them. And one of them is Nolen Royalty, who is going to come and be the last Open Projector slot tonight. Nolen, welcome.
I'm Open Projector, not favorite, Nolen. Let's see. I realized that this might actually not play nicely with the projector, so we're going to see about that. Let's open up this. I guess as I vamp, I can tell you that a thing I'm not going to show you is that I recently made like a global synchronized caps lock key, where like whenever anyone pressed caps lock, it pressed it for everyone else running the program. And no one agreed on whether it should be on, and it just kind of ruined my life for like a week. It was really fun. Let's see. We're going to wait for this to show up. Displays. Okay. And I'm definitely going to need to mirror. Okay. So we're going to do a quick test to make sure that this pops up in the right spot. Sorry. Promise that this makes sense. Sorry, OSA script. Okay, we can like see that, right? Yeah. Yeah, there's just a tiny little window there. Don't worry about it. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna do what's 8 times 30 is 240. Okay, cool. That. And we got this over here. So. Has this ever happened to you? You are browsing the web, and you're having a great time, and you're finding all of this good content, and you're opening tabs, you're opening tabs, and you're opening tabs, and you're never closing them because there's so much good stuff on the web, and this totally broke, so we're just going to run that again while I say my spiel. And you never close your tabs, and you end up with just this massive set of, come on, Chrome, open back up, it's fine, you can do it. You end up with this massive set of tabs, right? And I find this kind of frustrating. This just like takes up a ton of space on my screen. And so I was thinking like, I'm a game developer, right? Like surely I can do something more useful with this space. Since I don't want to close these, I might want to come back to them later. So I made this game, and it's Pong, which you've probably seen before, but the bit is that it just kind of extends up into the tab bar. And you can just kind of play Pong up here too. And I think this is like a much better use for that tab space. The game works, the computer one there, than, I don't know, like just letting them sit there. So I'm gonna briefly talk about how some of this works because it's a little unusual. At a high level, the trick is that there are these favicons, right? That's the little image here. And browsers by default kind of look in a couple of places for those favicons, but you can change them. You can just like write some code, it looks something like this, and you can make them whatever it is that you want them to be. And so a lot of this code is just updating all of these in real time as quickly as possible, tracking the positions of the paddles. And there are a bunch of hacks that I have to do that performantly. One kind of fun one is that by default, backgrounded tabs don't get a lot of resources because your computer wants to save you from, like killing your battery with lots of tabs running. You can see that here, where the backgrounded tab updates its favicon pretty slowly. But there are these things called web workers that are cool and kind of new and exciting that are not meant to like circumvent browser limits, but totally do. They work great. And so this kind of abuses those in order to be able to update these things performantly, because like we want this thing to like kind of slide nicely into view, right? But the big thing here is this like trick where things kind of move between this canvas down here and the tab bar above. And I think it's kind of fun to like look at how I did that. And the answer is mostly like, there's this Teller quote from Penn and Teller about how magic is just like caring way too much about stuff. And I think about this a lot with like kind of making games like this. Like the answer is just that like I measured everything like very precisely. And then I use that to like create this virtual canvas that is the size of all of the windows as well as the window down here. And I kind of imagine where the ball is, and then I just like draw it in the right spot. If it's down in the bottom window, then I draw it down there. If it's up here in the tab bar, I draw it up there. Maybe you draw it in both places for the paddle. And that's about it. I guess one other thing I can mention is that to open all of those windows, right, you saw how these all opened and they formed a nice compact grid of 240 tabs, just like you probably have at home. And the way that works is with Apple. Where is this in the blog? This thing called AppleScript that is this like insane fever dream of a programming language from the 90s where we thought that like you wanted to talk to the computer like it was a human. But we didn't have like LLMs or anything, so you just write English language stuff that is basically just like Python with a lot more words. But it's great, and it lets you do all sorts of weird stuff, like open windows and reposition them and size them in different ways. And Apple miraculously still supports it. I think there is exactly one guy at Apple that works on it, which I know because he emailed me about a different project and was like, I'm the AppleScript team. So shout out to that guy. I hope he never retires. But anyway, that is my game. It's Pong in the tab bar, and I hope it solves a real problem for you like it does for me.
Thank you, Nolen, and thank you once again to all of our Open Projector presenters. Let's give them a hand. And now, the first featured presenter in WordHack is going to be introduced by another of Todd's army of deputies, Nick Montfort. Please take the mic and then take the stage.
So yes, I'm here to welcome Leonardo Flores, who rolls deep. He is here with 7 of his students. Everybody from the 828, put your hands in the air if you're feeling great. Well, okay, they either don't know their area code, they're not feeling good, I don't know. But anyway, they're here. And you're going to get exposed to Leo's wonderful practice creatively, his emoji-based work. I want to tell you he's a great contributor as an editor to the Electronic Literature Collection, to Taper magazine that I work with a little bit as a publisher, but he and the editorial collective do all the real heavy lifting for that. And the way that he gets to bring a class from Appalachian State University is with his administrative wiles. He is not only former president of the ELO, which is just a rearrangement of Leo, the Electronic Literature Organization. But he's also the chair of the English department. And in fact, believe it or not, he was recently serving as the chair of chairs, which is probably a long path from Peach to that. All right, rhyme or reason. Here we are. Let's welcome Leonardo Flores.
Thank you so much, Nick. And thank you all. I'm super thrilled to be here. All right, let's make this work. Okay, so I've been doing, I've been playing with computers and language since I was programming in BASIC as a teenager back in the 80s. And but I make my life primarily as a professor, as an administrator these days, scholar. However, my creative practice is what keeps my soul alive. And I want to share some of the things that I've been doing of late. Now, if you go to my website, leonardoflores.net, you'll find the post with all these links and all these works, so you can check it out if you like. I'm very interested in emoji-based writing. And so I will share a number of pieces. And also, I'm very interested in generative works and creating new frameworks for language. One of the interesting things that fascinate me about emoji is that they're these pictographic extensions of our alphabet. They're Unicode characters, and you can treat them like letters. You can treat them like language. All right, so back in 2017, I launched a Twitter bot using a system called Cheap Bots Done Quick, in which I generated a series of, the bot would generate a protest march every hour. It was very much a response to Trump becoming president, and it was an exercise in observing, not just like adding my voice through these tiny little Twitter bot things. It was never a successful bot in terms of number of followers, but it became an exercise in observation of protests. And so what I'm going to do right now is share a selection of these pieces. You can see some of the Twitter archives in the Electronic Literature Collection, Volume 4. There's actually, you can see different versions, iterations of it. There's a Puerto Rican version called Protestitas. And so let me show you a few of these pieces. So it started by using emoji pictographically, right? I would essentially generate random selection of buildings. There would be some sort of a sky weather event. There would be, in this configuration, you have a row of buildings or trees. You have police officers kind of blocking the protest march. And some of these, you know, this is supposed to be a computer programmer, right? Sometimes it doesn't work so well. And here we go. They're marching about protecting the humanities, protecting LGBTQ rights. You know, when it was International Women's Day, they joined the protest, right, with slogans based on those topics. So our health comes first. Protect Planned Parenthood. You can notice that these are sort of the early generations of it. Save the environment. Notice you have, I went pretty quickly from the sort of yellow emoji to a sort of more diverse palette of emoji. Again, people protesting as they march on the street. Tax the rich. If you're not angry, you're not paying attention. So I decided at some point to switch to the sort of face emojis. And of course, those come in yellow only. So there's a certain universality to them, but there's also a real focus. I felt like these early ones had too much nuance in the faces and the characters, and these really kind of focused on mood, right? If you're not angry, you're not paying attention. Hate does not make America great. Your imperialism creates shitholes. You might remember the shithole comment all those years ago. Rethink Columbus Day. Notice that the configurations here, they're blocking traffic on the street, right? You can see the buildings and you can see the vehicles. Rethink Columbus Day. Climate change is real, right? Different protest configurations. Paro Nacional, these are some of the Puerto Rican versions. And of course, in Puerto Rico, I was living in Puerto Rico at the time. And, you know, the police deployed tear gas against the protesters. And so it was a day of just everything came to a standstill in Puerto Rico. We have a great protest tradition. I'll share a few other examples. For example, after Hurricane Maria, you know, they said only like, I don't know, 27 people died in Hurricane Maria. But a subsequent study showed it was more like 4,645. And they did a protest in which they would put shoes of the people missing in front of the Capitol building. So, 4,645 muertes. You can see the Capitol building in Puerto Rico with both the Puerto Rican flag and the American flag. And the palm tree represents the party that was in power, which is still in power, our right-wing party, conservative party. Cacerolazo, when Ricky Rosselló, the then governor of Puerto Rico, there was a whole scandal about some text messages he was sending through Telegram to his buddies, really just showing his disregard for the Puerto Rican people, mocking, doing all kinds of terrible things. People did this very Latin American kind of protest. They would take pots and they would bang them on the street. You know, they'd go out of their balcony, and I mean, there was so much protest that he actually resigned. So it was a historic moment for protest. This was in 2019. No al plan fiscal UPR. Here you have the gates of the university, right, generated. There was a fiscal plan that really defunded the university. Of course, justice for George Floyd. Again, here we're back in the US, right? Twice impeached, twice saved the GOP. You can get a sense of time passing in the Trump presidency, first Trump presidency. But you can also see the masks, right? This was, you know, the pandemic had happened, and every once in a while they would do a textual announcement of what they were doing. And for a minute, for a few months, it was the streets. They were still protesting, but the streets were empty. When people then returned, they were wearing masks, but still angry. No more insurrection. We believe in peaceful protest. And celebrating the end of the Trump presidency with hourly street parties, here you have happy emoji and, you know, balloons and confetti. The grifter is gone. Bye-bye 45, champagne bottles. And then you may recall when he was escorted on the helicopter, he and Melania, and he flew away. And that was the end of it. And after a few months, I decided it was time to pause with that bot. Of course, the problems continued, and as we know, they have returned in many ways. However, you can see here, let me see. So here's a version called Tiny Protest 2023. And I think the screen size is affecting, here we go. If you can read this, thank a teacher. So one of the nice things about using the web as a platform rather than Twitter flattened everything to the same size. So buildings and emoji are all the same size, but with on the web, you can make different emoji, different sizes. So it feels more like this sort of endless march where you still have emergency vehicles and police kind of protecting buildings. And, you know, these are all generated differently. And here comes the march. I kept the sort of emoji emotion faces, but I then returned the diversity of people and professions and faces into this. Pro-life my ass, and so on. All right, let's do something a little more fun, but actually it's quite serious, really. This was a piece I did for Taper, Taper number 5. It was an issue dedicated to the pandemic, and I called it Pent Up, a play on 5, penta, right? But it's also about being stuck. And well, here what happens is you have this building, we have this space, and we have these people who are really not social distancing. They're getting together, they're having drinks, they're going to the coffee shop, having donuts and cookies, and having a great time, and oh, the pizza place, all right. You know, the idea is that the sign up top, here's a candy shop, and here are the friends having a great time. But as time passes, right, here we are doing sports or a sports bar, having a great time, and then the piece takes about 1.5 minutes to unfold. They keep gathering, but now one of them is a little sick, or 2 of them are getting sick. But they keep gathering, right? These are as we were coming out of the pandemic and people were like being social, right? And people are getting more and more upset as they keep gathering and more sick. Some are oblivious, others are showing symptoms, some are starting to die, and by the end, we end up in a hospital with everyone sick and eventually everyone dying. Good times, right? Emoji, they're so cute and fun. How about we try doing something serious with it, right? Now, this piece is probably one of my most personal pieces. It's called Thought Clock. It was done in Taper number 12, focused on tools. And what this does is that it presents this character. I'll give you a hint, it's me. And it gives you a clock and what this character is thinking about. So at 8:06 p.m., it seems like this character is a little tipsy, or maybe, I don't know, hanging out, spending time with the family, eating popcorn, watching movies with the family, but you can also kind of move up and down in time. So earlier in the day, right, at 6, well, maybe at 5, he's happy, right? Happy hour, getting beers and drinks and you know, getting dessert and eating and then spending time with the family. Now getting kind of tired. You know, I'm in my 50s, so you can imagine getting tired, sleepy. It's time to sleep. Maybe watch a little TV with the wife. Maybe going to sleep, and then between 11 and 6 a.m., he dreams about all the things that he thinks about during the day, and a few extra things. There's like castles and unicorns and, you know, dream stuff. Until throughout the night, right? He sleeps and dreams until he wakes up with the alarm and having coffee and, getting up and taking care of the cat and the dog and commuting and taking the kids to school and work and so on. So it's sort of this little clock that shows you kind of what's going on with Leo Flores at any given moment. This piece, Inner Lives, I was very curious about, well, essentially, when we think about these emoji, they all have this sort of very similar affect, right? They all have this sort of, unless they're an angry emoji, the professional emoji all tend to have this kind of grin about them. They're just this sleepy grin. And so I was wondering about what the inner lives of these emoji might be, right? What, you know, here you have a mildly happy person or a, you know, horrified person, but they're still just looking the same way. Just something to create a colorful grid in which you are wondering what's going on inside of these little people that these emoji might be. All right, let's show you another one. This is actually one of my more recent ones. It was just published. It's titled Crossed Readings. And it takes that woman yells at cat meme, right? You may have seen the meme that really kind of focuses on different readings of signs. And so some of them are about readings of signs. Some of them are references to obscure video poems like Rodalume by M. de Melo Castro, a Portuguese person, right? And they read it. So, mi mamá me mima, or mi me mama mima, right? So, mi mamá me mima, or instead of inhale, exhale is inex haha lele. You probably have seen that one online. Let's see, abracadabra or abradacabra, and so on. And so there's all these different home, ho, meme. Let's see, Rodalume. Here's a nod to Gwendolyn Brooks. Sing, sin, thin, gin. We. If you know We Real Cool. Choose life, choose a career. Choose, life, a career, and so on. This piece is more serious, more political. It focuses on Puerto Rico. It's titled It's Complicated, and it's about how Puerto Ricans feel about our relationship with the U.S., right? And, I mean, it's very complicated. So this piece is going to randomly select a Puerto Rican who is going to speak about their provenance, and then they're going to express an opinion in favor or against statehood, Commonwealth, which is what we have right now, or independence, or even participating in processes like plebiscites and referendums. We have had many of those. Nothing has ever come of them. And we've never pronounced ourselves in any direction in a kind of clear way. And that ambivalence, this piece tries to capture that. So let's read a few of these cases. When I was a kid, my family moved to Holyoke from Maunabo after struggling to make ends meet in Puerto Rico. I'm in favor of independence for Puerto Rico because Viva Puerto Rico Libre. I was born in Lajas, but moved to Pasadena when I was 59 to be able to better support the family. I'm against Puerto Rican independence because it doesn't produce enough food to sustain its population. After living most of my life in Puerto Rico, I moved to Pomona in search for jobs. I'm against statehood because statehood is not a path to decolonization and would only increase dependency on the U.S. mainland. My grandparents moved from San Sebastian to Windham in the 1950s because of job insecurity in Puerto Rico. I oppose independence for Puerto Rico because it would become another communist dictatorship like Cuba and Venezuela. After living most of my life in Puerto Rico, I moved to Sunrise Manor because life had become too difficult. I support statehood for Puerto Rico because many people would qualify for welfare and get el mantengo, or a term we use for support. I was born in Miami but raised as Puerto Rican by my parents. I oppose independence for Puerto Rico because it would become a third world country full of poverty and corruption. And randomly, this has chosen a lot of Puerto Ricans leaving Puerto Rico. There's many versions, like it also generates Puerto Ricans who remain in Puerto Rico and expresses those opinions as well. If you were to ask me what I think, well, I would say go read this piece. It's complicated, and you'd have to read between the lines to get at my presence. All right. This piece, Huracán Borinqueño, let me see if it'll offer to translate. Yes, let's translate it to English. So this piece was inspired, it's actually an adaptation of a Twitter bot that now is implemented on the web. It's about hurricanes in Puerto Rico. I was in Puerto Rico during Hurricane Maria. I created this piece as a bot and then later implemented it, but I created it first on the first anniversary of the passing of Hurricane Maria. What it does is it generates scenarios before, during, and in the aftermath of a hurricane passing through Puerto Rico. And there are many elements of critique to Trump's administration's response to the Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. So let's see. Yep, here we go. Hurricane passes, but we continue to experience the consequences. Noti1 analyzes the corruption of the director. Let's start. This is before. Hurricane Category 3 is approaching all over Puerto Rico. The Department of Education urges citizens to prepare. Grandparents lock their pets. So that's a before. Let's see. Notice it does generate, this is the cyclone emoji, which, by the way, is the same, or at least inspired by, the cyclone petroglyph by the Taínos. Very similar. So let me see if it gives me the translation. If not, I can just translate. So during the hurricane, the waves shake the electric wiring, trees hit other trees, rain falls over the light posts. My mom locks herself in the bathroom. The hurricane has been hitting for 17 hours. The river destroys the street. The trees throw branches over the bridge. The gusts knock the roof down. My aunt makes the sign of the cross. Hour 19 of the hurricane. The flood ruins the power lines. My daughter plays domino. The waves hit the house. My aunt turns on the TV. So it places us inside of a house with a family and neighbors, extended family, huddled together, trying to survive the hurricane. Anyways, kind of a bummer, so I thought I would end on a fun piece. It is a satire of Taco Bell. As you know, Taco Bell will... I actually grudgingly admire Taco Bell for its blatant combinatorial approach to menu building, right? I mean, like, they have X number of ingredients, and they recombine them and create all these things, right? And then they'll throw in one new thing, Doritos taco. All right, great. And it becomes exponential. So here is the Taco Hell menu generator. Have you tried the new 14-layer Chorizo Deluxe Mexican Pizza Party Pack? Your head will explode. For a limited time only, we're featuring the hot cheese stacked Crunchwrap Hell Grande. Only 500 available per restaurant. Our newest creation, the Crunchy Chorizo Enchilada, is out. Make a run for the fire. Starting today, we're unveiling the new rolled and melted steak chalupa. Rush to a Taco Hell near you. Some of these actually sound pretty good. Inspired by his last visit to Mexico, our head chef has created the double steak fries combo. You know you want it. Just in from our test kitchens, behold the new creamy chicken Mexican pizza. Get yours today. Inspired by his last visit to Mexico, our head chef has created the melted and spicy chicken quesadilla. You know you want it. So there's a preamble, right? There's this created item and then a call to action. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you so much, Leo. Yeah, to go to Mexico and have a stroke of inspiration and invent a chicken quesadilla is a worthy goal. We have now reached the world famous WordHack mid-show break. Not everyone knows about WordHack, but everyone the world over knows about the WordHack mid-show break. It is exactly 13 minutes long, so take 13 minutes to do whatever you want. But I encourage you to check out the bar. We'll be back in 13.
This is, this is the famous.
Yeah,
This is the break.
You're here.
I'm
Yeah.
here for the break.
No, you bought a ticket to WordHack. You got the break too.
I would say his work deals with these sort of sticky questions around image production, language, communication systems, and how power is distributed online. He's also kind of like a walking meme, which he'll talk about, I think. But anyway, it's again, my great pleasure to introduce you all to Constant at his first ever WordHack. Thank you, Constant.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. So my name is Constant Dullaart, or in Dutch it would be Constant Dullaart. So it's a given name, not a chosen name. I have my passport with me because I traveled into this country. So I can verify that. I didn't pay for this name to be on my passport. I don't actually want to be sitting down. This is Jennifer in Paradise. I found the first image ever photoshopped. I tell that to people when I need to say something about my work. Yeah, so this is the first image ever photoshopped, and it came out of this demo that John Nolen did, which should have sound. And let me try to fix it right now. So there's no sound. I don't know if somebody's regulating the sound, but it already comes to the external headphones.
Brody, have we tested the line in?
Thank you. Okay, anyways, he's selecting Jennifer, and then he's copying her, which was kind of a sexist move to show his wife to become an object as the first, if you design a tool and then the first thing is to show your wife as like a kind of demo to copy her into an object. It is kind of weird. But anyway, we know software to be sexist, certain software, of course. Let's move on. I actually distributed that image with a steganographic secret message inside. And here it is, where I'm trying to show it with a UV light. If you find the original image that I distributed, then you can still find that steganographic hidden message. But John Nolen, actually, because of the show, he released the original TIFF through The Guardian, which polluted my work, of course, but I was happy to contribute to this whole story. And this museum actually bought the password, so it was kind of cool that a museum bought a password as an artwork. This is, I got into, because that was a context of an image and how an image survives and how an image is distributed, I was getting into buying bots in 2014. And this was one of my favorite bots at the time, because they were still spinning the text of scraped profiles. So this is one of my favorites, Nolen. And Nolen writes, "I'll prove to the world that I would come some hin important to the Ned someday," which I think is kind of cool. And Dorset says, "I love so much Ustenieber." And these people made me feel really good about myself, as if I bought new shoes, and I really thought I was a better person. And then I thought I should make other people believe that they're better people. So, for example, there's an art curator called Klaus Biesenbach. And he had 69,000 followers, and I decided to up him to 100,000 followers. And there was this up-and-coming artist called Jeff Koons, and I decided to give him 100,000 followers too, because I thought he should be equal to that curator that's so infamous. And there's this critic guy, Jerry Saltz, so I thought he should be in the game. And there's this other artist that was posting from the other side of the firewall, the big firewall of China, to Instagram, so that's a lot of effort, and he was trying to post a lot of things to gain followers, so I gave him 100,000 followers too. Like Hans-Ulrich Obrist, but he was really close, he was already, less than 2,000 followers away. And then actually New York Times called me and said so you're trying to get more traction through Instagram, and they wrote an article about like how auction results were improving because Pierce Brosnan, a James Bond actor, photographed himself with an art piece, and it was more valuable afterwards. And they quoted Ai Weiwei with his follower number to be so relevant. And I thought, like, I sent you the data of like how much followers I bought him, and they didn't use that, and I got really angry. So then I thought, like, okay, so I should be using more dramatic kind of means. So I started to look into this, like phone verified accounts, and I decided to make like an army. And so this was 2015. So this was around the time when Bernie was still competing against Hillary, and Trump was coming on. And I made 15,000 accounts, but they're all actually based on the Hessian soldiers. So the Hessian soldiers that fought the American Revolution. And I thought, this is another like shitty and like new revolution, so we should fight that again, and we should bring them back to life. So I sent like an Excel sheet to a bunch of people that like made these accounts really quick for me. And but they use like an Excel sheet, so they're actually like alphabetically sorted, which is kind of interesting. And I had them post like all these like essays about identity in German, and like how identity and our concepts of identity are like getting fucked. And they posted things about like the beautiful Hessian landscapes. But you would see there, you would get these recommended friends, so they were also alphabetically sorted. That freaked a lot of people out, that they suddenly had like alphabetically sorted, like really young people as recommended friends. But yeah, that was kind of my like warning sign to like say like everybody can just build these weapons at home. And doing the research and meeting like people that would run like armies of like 4 million Twitter accounts from the living room. It was really inspiring, and I actually found all the SIM cards that were used for these phone verified accounts. So these were actually resold for the potential value of the gold in the SIM cards. So yeah, so this is a logo that some people might recognize. And I started to use these accounts too to like give compliments to my own work. You know, so like I would follow that, stunning, pretty in pink, so hot, you dazzle me, beautiful. That you? Yes, superb. Anyway, so like beautiful kind of like comments of like how somebody looks or like the great pictures. But then the weird thing was that we couldn't decide if we would give these followers to Bernie or Hillary or Trump, or because we thought like if we would give them to Trump, we could say it was fake. And if we would give them to Bernie, somebody could say that they were fake. So it was really complicated. And we built that, like, let's say, weapon, or I built that weapon. And then later on, I realized like a lot of people built those weapons and they fucking shot them. You know, they just fired them. So I decided I was here in New York around 2017, and I wrote like a poem on the Department of Homeland Security Instagram, and it says, "To know one's way around, protecting highways between safe and sound, so within the expanding fences you can stay, ascending on diversity's decay, extrapolating the farcical innate, confining the stagnant within a conservative state, exercising," anyway, you see it, you can read it. So it was like this quick stanza, kind of like really repetitive poem, which probably freaked a social media intern at the Department of Homeland Security. Not that many people freaked out. I did have a nightmare coming back into the country, thinking like, you know, maybe that would like somebody paid attention, but nobody's paying attention. Not right now, at least. So yeah, I can read more, but there's like very little time. So I made these kind of more like heraldic banners of all these accounts that you could buy. So this is actually a mail US account that you can buy. And a mail US account is worth much more than a Pakistani, Bangladeshi, or Indian account, because they're just, you know, they bring in more revenue. This is a female account. this is a Russian account, and this was a Ukrainian account. So this was around the time when MH17 was shot down over Ukraine. And so I made these flags showing these kind of bot accounts. And then the weird thing happened that they were actually shown at the Tretyakov Gallery in Russia during the invasion of Ukraine, which Ukraine didn't start, by the way. Just saying, like, need to be said that they didn't start that. And it was kind of weird, so I had to blur these people out because it was documented how they had to remove the work because I didn't want that work to be in a Russian state-run gallery anymore. And then there's this part of the video where they actually remove the Ukrainian flag, which is really problematic. So, I am DVD guy. So I think the best thing that happened to me in my life was I was in a party at 6 a.m. and there were these 3 guys that were tripping really hard, and they looked at me and they said, "You are DVD guy." I think that was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I did that in multiple different locations, like museums. I did that for about 2 years. The Man in the Machine. And then I made Dullaart, as in I thought like I should have to reclaim that name, so I made Dullaart, a company that made like a video player that would sync wirelessly. You see the channels and the antennas. And then I made a video for it. This was to prove that it syncs.
So here we are. Fucks were given and lulls were had. We are an actual fucking startup and an artwork at the same time. Hello, corporate performative confusion. Shipping shit from lower wage countries to privileged customers. Nobody is sure if we actually wanted to be a tech company, but we use efficient methods to convey our doubt about the neoliberal capitalist tech celebration we experience every day with honest smiles and ukulele music. Our ironic dream of Californian solutionism performatively forged our social capital into a successfully funded staff-picked Kickstarter campaign, while we didn't even want to succeed. Even Kickstarter got confused with us, but they got their cut on capitalizing on motivational Facebook posts. So yeah, money was given, and our problematic vision became awkward consumer electronics, made in South China under pressure to deliver in time. We used other startups to make our website and pack our pledges, and now we are thanking you for your interest in Dullaart with this video made in Indonesia. Ayn Rand already said, to arrive at a contradiction is to confess an error in one's thinking. To maintain a contradiction is to abdicate one's mind and to evict oneself from the realm of reality. Since we believe reality is a potentially oppressive construct that needs some room to breathe, we'll continue to search for the awkward reflections of solutionism with your help. Always a dull moment, Dullaart.
Yeah, so I ruined my life with a successfully funded Kickstarter campaign, which was really problematic because I basically I saw it as a performance, so I had to do all the customer service myself because I felt like I had to do everything myself, and that was really a problem. In the middle of the night, I had to answer calls where people asked the difference between an HDMI cable and a VGA cable. So yeah, but like actually if you take the USB, if you ever see one of these, if you take the USB out of it, like the actual artwork, this artwork displays, and this is actually filmed on the floor of Friedrich Kittler's, a very famous media art theorist, on his floor. So it's supposed to be loud and annoying, but of course it's like the YouTube loader that I remade with ceramics. And Kittler is a media theorist that speaks about like how hardware influences the work that you make with it. And of course, because I had like a company, a tech company, I needed to make a pivot. So I pivoted to AI, of course, and this was 2017. And that monstera leaf is the image you would upload to a thing called Dull Dream that would make images less significant. So I made an algorithm to make things more boring. So this was definitely 2017 state of AI. So you would see an analysis of like the fruit bowl, and you would see the saliency detection and like how it redraws the fruit bowl into a boring fruit bowl. And I'm not really keen to discuss the fact if it's boring or not. It was boring at that time according to the algorithm. So you would see a bunch of customer uploaded images of like an airplane or somebody making a funny picture. These are not pictures made by me, but the middle one is the boring one. And I made a data set to actually, also at the same time, for a museum to kind of analyze what European culture would be, because that doesn't exist. And it's basically just contrived out of very cliche kind of things, like, for example, blue cheese, which would be bleu d'Auvergne. This is my 2017 version of bleu d'Auvergne, which I think was very realistic at that time, but also kind of painterly and naive. That's why I celebrated it. This is a current version, of course, of blue cheese. This is very blue cheese. And this was a croissant I made at that time. This is a current croissant. Current rendering at Dali, actually, so maybe 2 years ago already. This is the croissant that I actually really love. So this is like a, let's say, 150% croissant. And you know, like I'm aiming for like having 150% croissants and having 150% blue cheese and having more like just 200% things in my life. And if you actually notice that, you know, this is of course like a beautiful Moebius kind of croissant, but if you look at that corner, the dish is actually going croissant. And that's what I love, you know, because I'm Dutch, and I realized like that's what Van Gogh did. You know, he just, you know, twirled croissants into all of his paintings. You know, he just basically just like took like a style element of one object and then transferred it to everything else. So realized that, you know, creativity is just walking around the like latent space AI stuff. And, you know, celebrating these kind of errors, I was really fascinated, and I started to rebuild a 2016 DeepMind kind of WaveNet Google thing where they had like kind of like a gibberish was casually generated, but like I tried to get that model, and it's deleted because Google doesn't give a shit. They just want to delete stuff and be efficient. So we had to remake it. So I made like a gibberish generator podcast.
Of efficienst en by het of bronzeving quel sorrectivenge. Compocity, humanis, minis, and need petity. Competity we volute ul, pompities to cognin, re mara campanago. Impenes of sed ned custompus futent to ducting. The or of qual either these of sistor dema artenses.
So I used like a kind of like a system to approach a kind of This American Life episode with like background music and then cutting back into new conversations.
He had a plaque timpani human chinta.
So let's see.
As a flu, havums, kapand arkakens maar arko commodely. Tu is fitchip and component the answer be likely. The prat compractures mo.
As that world, classroom and comagera temp and vet compan mandas.
People fund private world class and passing human see believe predicament of whale tompatiti witorki viroduct. The cognisignize compern to compravity comproductices as opally the red practive to con re statusi cyboventors hand tivitive havums.
Worketicality, proview, many.
So I called this threshold consciousness radio. So it's like kind of being on the verge of kind of understanding, but like still drifting off at the same time, as if you're listening to another language in the train or something, and you're kind of like dozing off, and then you can just like make your own images. So like threshold consciousness for like going into a dream, and this really helped me because I was just like dreaming while I was listening to this. It was a very soothing version of This American Life.
Variety, engaged, quality demand, Pete avengement, dement of qualitatata.
So, and then we recently made like a version with Werner Herzog's voice because he's very demanding, of course, like if he speaks about something. And then we actually had that analyzed again. So we just had like a speech to text analyze, or just like subtitle it. And then basically we took that subtitles as prompts for a potential new dreamed up movie by Werner Herzog.
Our company had most ny customers in What passes in the content and world book and stuff like that. You don't let any neatly woocher of page. Alien has post-based man rest. Contains to be like to this into contain more dairy futures nestable atoms.
And of course, like this is a famous meme by now. You know, you can read what it says. Everyone, AI art will make designers obsolete. And I was teaching at a design school, so I had to show people this meme. And of course, by now we know that we can use like certain finger lore or something, and we can improve all the hands, so it's fine. You know, it's actually really accepting the job. But then I felt like we need to celebrate this moment in time, because we can still celebrate and like kind of enjoy the quirkiness and kind of like the human aspect of all these kind of errors that are in AI. So I made this sculpture of the handshake, how we're going to go towards the future. It was made by, it was actually painted by the people that did The Matrix and Hunger Games. Thank you very much.
One more time for Constant, everyone. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I realized this has given me a new vocabulary word of when the dish goes croissant, which I recently experienced earlier this week at JFK. There was, in the AirTrain station, there was an airport staff worker who happened to have a Jamaican accent, announcing, "The next train is a Jamaica train." And it felt AI generated in exactly that way, where it's like, it didn't need to be a Jamaican accent just because it's going to Jamaica. But now I know this is when the dish goes croissant. To close out WordHack tonight, I am very excited, and we are very lucky to welcome to the stage a multimedia artist and educator who has created many, many games and conceptual explorations and teaches in many places, including at Montclair and at New York University. Please welcome Blake Andrews to the stage. All right.
T-shirt? Was this?
No, it's not mine.
You left their scarf?
Maybe that's Constant. I'll check.
Constant, did you leave your scarf? Just a second, I gotta plug in my computer. Oh, that's great. Sorry, I'm on the other side of the projector. Can everybody see that it's plugged in? All right, looks like it's plugged in. Can everybody see it? How much time do I have?
You have 20 minutes.
All right, thank you. So, hi, thanks. So yeah, I'm going to be presenting about a piano game. All of this was written by Otis, Denner Kenny. I'm presenting it. My name is Blake Andrews. And thanks to Dennis, SD, and Lillian ahead of time. All right. But first off, give it up for Jamie for presenting, everybody. I just, do you know what I Google searched to get that? Jamie? Weird Al. Also give it up for Todd. I'm sorry you can't be here. Todd's really great. This is a drawing I found of him. And thanks for having me on the show. And get a load of this audience. It's a lot of, my girlfriend, when she got here, she just texted me, it's a lot of guys here. But I could see a little bit of a variation throughout. Anyhow. Yeah, so I'll do the preface and we'll get to the meat of it. So this all started when I was at MagFest. This is the Music and Games Festival out in DC. And it's at the Gaylord Hotel in the DC area. It's this really crazy thing. A lot of these cabinets go out there. Particle Maze, so Andy right there, he goes out there. Everybody goes out there. It's a crazy time. It's in this really wild hotel. There are all sorts of different attractions. So there's this game that's been there for the past couple of years, and I won't. But I always joke about this game. This game is, I think, is good intentions, but I have some mean-spirited energy towards it. It's really big. It's good for them, but it's this really big bowler hat. There's a lot of a steampunk energy to it that I'm a little repelled by. Anyhow, me and my friends are being jackasses, and one of us said, oh, it'd be a really fun idea if instead we hung up a piano by a rope and someone stood under the piano and let the piano go, and that's the game. So we thought this was like a fun idea, and we were just like, ha 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 ha. We were just joking about it, riffing, whatever. But then we were like, oh, I wonder if anybody's actually done this before, if anyone's actually strung up a piano by a rope and put themselves under it and release the rope. Fun fact is we found that quite a few people have done that. And yeah, we found a holy grail. It's basically this website that I found, and I'm going to show you this website that I found. Okay. So this is Professor Gerald's Math Fun, and I think it's mostly like supposed to be like an educational resource for math. However, so let's take a look at some of these. So this is the home page. If we go to math, there are a bunch of different math resources like quick math. So it's like Wolfram Alpha, or oh my god. And then we got some stuff like stuff like that. How do I? You got sosmath.com. Yeah, calculus.net. I think this seems like a lot of these pages don't really work. And let's go to the About section. So yeah, I'm Professor Gerald. Here's a little bit about me. I teach mathematics at Miami University in Ohio, and I love my cat, Escher. I was born in 1963, the same year that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. So then we go to Other, and we have 3 things here. Let's go to Escher. So here's some stuff about my cat, Escher. He is named after M.C. Escher. M.C. Escher was a Dutch illustrator who was in love with math. Do you know what the MC stands for? Master of Ceremonies? Any other guesses? Did you just say mathematics? Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, it stands for my cat, yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. Hit the back again. And then there are a couple other links here. So it's a piano game. So this is the main thing I'm interested in here. And it looks like we have history, instructions, and sound. I'll save that for later. Let's first start off inventions of pianos. The square piano. And then we got Anton Bruckner. Burial beneath organ at St. An organist and composer, Anton Bruckner, who died in 1896, is buried beneath the organ of St. Florin Monastery in Austria. At one time, he was the organist for this monastery, and it is said that he left very specific instructions about the preparation of his corpse after his death. I wonder if he found some significance that eluded me about the sparsely documented series of incidents which took place during the Renaissance and Baroque periods of the cathedral construction, in which workers or clergymen were often crushed beneath pipe organs during their construction. And that's his tomb. So basically, it looks like the first happened here in Frankfurt, Germany. So basically, while serving the U.S. Army towards the end of the Second World War, a Fluxus artist by the name of Al Hansen pushed a piano from the roof of a building in Frankfurt, Germany. It said that this was the first artistic happening. And it looks like they started calling it the Yoko Ono drop, but it's a little bit unclear what she had to do with it. I don't know if that was supposed to be making fun of her music. I'm actually a big Yoko Ono fan. So it looks like it continued through the 60s, and it started to influence a greater movement of people smashing pianos. So it looks like this was a big Fluxus thing. And then we get to... So who here in the house has gone to MIT? I know more than one of you has. So yeah, the other big thing is it looks like in the 70s they started a ritual. So every year they started pushing off a piano off of a roof, and this is like a big celebratory thing. Then we'll go back again. And then in the 80s, and then 1990s, yeah, it looks like there was 9 pianos thrown in Northern Exposure, and then now, so it looks like this goes up to 2011. I don't know what that says. And yeah, it looks like it's in that Tim Hecker album. Looks like he doesn't like Burning Man or something. What is this? You really wanted to see Animalia? Yeah. Oh, come on. Yeah. Okay. Fuck. Okay, then we're gonna go instructions. So, materials. To construct the piano game, you'll need some materials. Here are a few things you'll need. A grand piano, a rope strong enough to hold the entire weight of a piano and long enough to run double length of maximum height of the piano's suspension plus 4 times the circumference of the piano, a compound pulley system which will allow the piano to be hoisted required height despite its great weight. The heaviest grands can weigh over 1,000 pounds. Various hardware, a hook, shape, or rope to attach the pulley and the suspension point. This will differ depending on where you intend to play. And then we got the rules. The rules for the piano game are relatively simple. They are as follows. The player stands on the designated area beneath the suspended grand piano. The player holds the rope which suspends the piano. The player releases the rope, causing the piano to fall. Oh, this is... How much time do I have? Okay. So yeah, it looks like there's like this is a pretty extensive log here. I'll read some excerpts from this because I think this seems pretty long. So I thought I would start a weblog just as a journal for my thoughts and feelings in my day-to-day. That's the one great thing about computers and websites is that you can learn about so many people in different cultures. When I have been overseas, people in other countries think their lives are ordinary, while I think they are extraordinary. For example, I went to Thailand on vacation. What a beautiful place. Maybe my life in America is extraordinary too. One thing to consider is that driving so fast on the highway can be unusual to people outside of America. Driving in a way is extreme. While I typically drive the speed limit and obey all the rules, I am sure things like this that people take for granted may be interesting to people who are less fortunate from other cultures. For instance, it is a wonder that I have access to a computer and internet, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure someone would like to learn about my life. I have so many interests outside of math. For instance, I am trying to get better at cooking. I have been experimenting with casseroles. My ingredients recently: egg, noodles, tuna, cream mushroom soup, frozen peas, cheddar cheese, breadcrumbs, salt, and pepper to taste. You basically mix all these things together and bake it. It takes for about half an hour or something, and looks like it's pretty good for leftovers. Sometimes my cat Escher gets excited when I'm making the casserole. I generally put a bit of fish in his bowl before I start cooking the casserole so he doesn't climb up on the counter to eat it as I'm cooking it. Such a sweetheart. While I cook, I like to listen to music. It really helps speed up time because cooking can be time-consuming or boring. It is especially boring during the baking process. I recommend listening to the Beatles. Basically, any album will do. I have no favorites. Some of their solo music is good too. However, I hate all the music John made with Yoko Ono. What she makes cannot be considered music at all. I truthfully hate her. Oh yeah, have fun cooking. Bon appetit. Okay, I was talking to a colleague about Yoko Ono. she actually likes her music and prefers it to the Beatles. I do not immediately understand that perspective. There's not so much music. There's not so much music-like about what she is making. She is just yelling. On John Lennon Plastic Ono Band, Yoko Ono is credited as playing wind. I don't recall any wind instruments on the album. I feel as though she is only trying to be mysterious or to have an air of artistry about her. She wants to have some importance, even though she has contributed nothing to the album. My colleague allowed me to borrow Yoko Ono's book, Grapefruit. This book is interesting, as is both poetry and a series of instructions. I have not followed any of these instructions literally, but there is something meaningful about imagining following through with all these scores. This one, surprisingly, stood out to me. So this is called Tuna Fish Sandwich. Imagine 1,000 suns in the sky at a time. Let them shine for 1 hour. Then let them gradually melt into the sky. Make one tuna fish sandwich and eat. And this is 1964 spring. Oh. So that's a poem by her. And I have plenty of casserole leftovers. Maybe I'll try doing this myself. So, all right. So it looks like he took a walk in the park, and basically it looks like he just followed the instructions for this poem. So he took it pretty actually literally. And he it looks like he made the sandwich out of leftover tuna casserole. Yeah, sounds pretty good. So it looks like later he told his colleague about his experience with the grapefruit book. Has anyone read this book before? It's pretty good for game designers and conceptual artists. But basically, he basically joked about, it seems like he started looking into the Fluxus performance about the piano dropping, and he was joking about it, kind of similar to how I was, and he was saying, oh, it's kind of like Wile E. Coyote, right? And it seems like his coworkers started thinking about like, oh yeah, what if Wile E. Coyote is actually like a Fluxus artist? And what he's doing is just like some performance conceptual art, and so he's not really actually trying to kill the Roadrunner, but it's like a performance, right? So she made a poem called Piano Falling Piece. String a rope through a pulley, secure the rope to the piano, lift the piano above, wait for the Roadrunner. The piano hovers above you, tug again, and the piano falls. A gust of wind. You're engulfed by the piano. Repeat. And this is 2004 spring. Would have created a poem by my colleague. I never saw her again. I have the entire day free, so it's time to get some materials. I need a pulley, some rope, and a piano. So then it looks like he just starts to, build the piano. And it looks like he didn't want to use a piano first, but he used an anvil. It looks like he had some trouble tying knots as well. It seems like he had trouble getting the piano up by himself, so he just kind of waited by the sidewalk for some high schoolers to get there, and he offered them about $60. And it looks like the anvil jumped a foot off the floor, it came back down, bringing the pulley with him. It looks like he broke his ceiling, so he had to do some repairs to his roof, and during the last test, it looked like the nylon got stuck, so it looks like, and then he goes into the cost analysis of a piano. It looks like he doesn't have one readily available. It looks like they were like about $3K. But it looks like the music department at his university ended up dumping the piano. So it looks like he got it in his garage. It looks like it wasn't random chance. The chance was 100%. And it looks like he rigged the nylon up to a book up on the back of his Honda Civic. He like towed it around. This one's good, yeah. However, I am immediately finding myself a predicament. The roof of my garage is too small. It is only raised a few feet off the ground before it hits the pulley at the height of about 10 feet tall garage. I laid under the grand piano suspended 3 feet above my face. I realized that I did not consider how to let the rope go if I'm under the piano. And the rope tied to the piano is tied to the Honda. Quickly, I become embarrassed laying under the piano as my garage is wide open for my neighbors to see what I'm doing. It's the middle of the day and not a single person is around. I take comfort again in the silence of my suburbs and lay under the piano suspended 3 feet above my face. I feel even closer than ever before. So it looks like he starts to need to find another place to string up the piano, as like his garage, he can't really do it in his house. So it looks like he's found a bridge, and looks like he's like upside down. I understand what Michelangelo would have felt when he was painting the Sistine Chapel. Most likely, he was safely on some sort of scaffolding. However, I was suspended in air, holding onto the metal supports of the bridge. I was completely out of my element. It looks like he gave up, and here's another. Looks like he's using potato chips instead of breadcrumbs this time. And he was considering his school, but that looks like it's a bad idea. Oh, it looks like his mom is not feeling so good. Oh, but it looks like the amphitheater is a pretty good idea because he can get it at max volume. Sorry, I'm having trouble. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Last night I had an extremely strange and vivid dream. In the dream, I stood alone outside at night. I feel the summer breeze blow across my skin. Above me, hanging suspended from something I can't see, was the form of a grand piano. In the dream, I'm holding a rope. Somehow I know the rope is what's preventing me preventing the piano from falling. Fear rushes through me as I feel my grip loosen against my will. I see the piano drop towards me. Before I can react, I awake with a start. My heart pounds as I sit up in bed, head spinning, as I feel the dream fade away. In that one moment, my sleep the rest of the night was the deepest, most restful sleep I've had in weeks. A few months ago, my mom died. She was all that I had in the world. On the bright side, I was awarded a small inheritance. Now that I don't have anything holding me back, I have no financial responsibilities outside of myself. I can complete my project. The piano looms above me at night, on the night sky. All of my calculations and previous tests have paid off. Though I have not released the rope, I can already feel the weight of the piano obliterating me. I imagine the cacophonous sound of wood splintering, strings snapping, and my bones becoming brittle. My final primal scream as I am crushed. I pull the rope, but the piano refuses to fall, defying all laws of gravity. It hangs suspended in the air like Wile E. Coyote after running off of a cliff. Is this all just a big joke? I give the rope another tug and feel it suddenly jerk away from my hand, releasing the weight of the piano. Just before the moment of impact, I feel my consciousness flee my body. I look down on myself from above. I watch as my body completely disappears beneath the massive form of the piano. I am engulfed by its overwhelming sound. It wasn't as musical as I had hoped. There weren't really any qualities of piano notes. It was only a gust of wind and a kind of cacophonous crash. My consciousness fades as I am overwhelmed by the sensation of being crushed. At home, Escher purrs beside me, licking my bandages. 1,000 suns are melting the cheese on the casserole that's in my oven. In about 20 minutes, I will open the oven and sprinkle some crushed pretzels, substituting the usual chips or breadcrumbs. Bon appetit! All right, thank you.
That is Blake Andrews. You can catch them in many places, including at a monthly game jam they run here at Wonderville, experimenting with different game-making engines each month. When is the next one of your game jam events?
It's March 8th, and it's going to be in Mario 64 Builder.
Mario 64 Builder at Blake's next game jam. And one more time, everyone. This is the end. One more time for all your presenters tonight. For Leo, for Constant, for all your Open Projector presenters, and for Blake. This was WordHack. You can catch it here every third Thursday of the month. The next WordHack will be March 20th. And that's it. I'm Jamie Brew, subbing for Todd Anderson, the inimitable host of WordHack. So come back on March 20th for more of this kind of stuff. Good night.